Hi, Alfonso. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for giving your time today to meet and discuss your past investment career, your approaches to investing, and how you look at the current Canadian market, real estate market. What you think about the future? So I'm really excited to meet you. Myself, my name is Gleb Cherenkov, and I write a blog. My Smart Real Estate is called, where I try to really persuade people that real estate investing is something that can help them achieve their financial goals and change the mindset of the average person who doesn't know much about real estate. So educating them. And I'm really pleased to meet you. I've read quite a few articles and listened to your podcasts with other people, and your story of real investing is truly fascinating. It's really pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure. My favorite thing to do is to inspire people to take action. And it's a pleasure to meet with you and to see everything you've done in your blog. What's the name of the blog again?
My Smart Real Estate.
My Smart Real Estate.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you a link to it.
All right. Well, we should put the link in the comments below. So
yeah.
All right. Hey, you know what? I love meeting anyone that's interested in real estate, and that's my passion.
Right. Yeah. Personally, so that you know, I'm still working 9 to 5 and trying to learn myself and put my thoughts in the blog. But my key goal is also inspire other people. So the first question, and I know you already did discuss with many people your first steps and how you started real estate investing, but just to inspire our listeners, can you give a bit of the history, what brought you to real estate investing?
Okay, so immigrant to Canada. Okay, I came from war-torn El Salvador. Had a bit of a tough time integrating into school growing up here when I immigrated to Canada. I came here as a landing refugee. Ultimately, fell with the wrong crowd as a teenager and ended up going down a very dark path and ultimately dropping out of high school and leaving home at 15. So at 15, I was on my own. If you go through the internet, you'll probably see stories of me when I talk about being homeless, and that's a big part of my life. I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget you know, how that dark place that I was in. Ultimately, what changed for me is I became a father at 17 years old. That was the moment I discovered purpose. And from my opinion, a purpose powerful enough will make you unstoppable. And so my objective at the very beginning was simply to make my daughter proud. I was a 17-year-old father. I went back to school, got a job, realized that, you know, $5 an hour wasn't going to cut it. As a result, I started a business from my locker in high school. It was a clothing business. I turned that business into a physical location when I was 19. By the time I was 21, I had stores all across Canada, and I fell in love with being an entrepreneur. The issue that I had was, number one, I had no financial literacy. I had no concept of running businesses and, you know, how does an entrepreneur become an investor? I was very much a consumer. And so when things were good, I was doing really well. And when things were bad, I was doing really bad. So we, shortly after 9/11, 2001, we had a market correction that almost took me out. And so I started to educate myself on other people. You know, I started to follow other wealthy people and started to see what they were doing. And I realized that I was very vulnerable. Number one, not having multiple streams of income. Number two, I was very much a consumer, not an investor. So I had to convert and transform my mind to being an investor-focused individual. And then the common thread amongst all wealthy people was real estate. And so I decided at, we're talking now 23 plus years ago, that I was going to transition from just being like a one stream entrepreneur to having multiple streams of income, and specifically real estate. I was going to build one stream that was Armageddon proof. And that's why I chose real estate, and specifically multifamily. Multifamily, I love the economy of scale and the idea that you can spread the risk amongst multiple units. That seemed very logical to me. And that's when I started about 23 years ago. And we fast forward till today, where I own apartment buildings all across Canada, hundreds of units. And now I'm in a position where I'm teaching others to develop and create their financial freedom. And that's what I'm most passionate about. When you asked me to do this interview, I'm like, let's do it. Like, that's just another opportunity to share the knowledge with the world that financial freedom can be attained. And in my humble opinion, it can be attained faster through multifamily real estate.
Thank you so much. And I know reading your other interviews, you were saying that the book that has changed your mindset was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
And I know many people, as you mentioned, read it, like 20 million copies sold, but not too many people actually take action. So why do you think that is? And what would you tell to people who read the book but didn't take action? What would be the first step?
Go back and reread that book. Well, it's like a movie, right? You can watch a movie multiple times, and depending on where you are in your life, it's going to hit you different, right? And to some people, it just simply might not resonate, or there's just the belief isn't there, right? That you can't have control over your life, right? There must be some blockage. The first thing that someone needs to understand is, what is their relationship with money, and where does that come from? For example, when I grew up, we never talked about money or finances at home. We never talked about credit, and I grew up with a unhealthy relationship with money, very unhealthy. And so I needed to transform that, because you will sabotage yourself. People talk about procrastination, not taking action. They read all these books, and they people say procrastinate. We hear that word procrastination. So here's my opinion. Procrastination doesn't exist. It does not exist. The truth is it just doesn't mean as much to you as you think it does. It's not a priority for you. You don't care for it, right? And so that comes from having purpose. I shared the story when I became a father at 17 years old. That was an impactful moment for me, because I discovered purpose. See, a purpose powerful enough will make you unstoppable. Now, when you read the book and you have purpose, there is no procrastination, because it becomes a priority. It becomes a must. It's not I should do this, I should do that. It becomes a must. And so when it becomes a must, you're unstoppable. And so when the why is not strong enough, when you haven't developed that belief, and you have an unhealthy relationship with money and finances and success, for sure, you're not going to take action, right? And so I suggest read the book again, but go back and do the work, the personal work, right? And see where you're at, and where are your finances. There's a reason that you have the results that you have, and it's usually because of the actions that you've taken or not taken, right? And so, I'm more interested in the person that says, hey, I read the first paragraph, and I acted on that first paragraph, and I came back and read the next paragraph, than someone that reads the whole book and it's like, oh, that's a great book.
Yeah, definitely. That was probably the case for me, because the first time I read it was maybe 15 years ago and I didn't act. It's only after time you start realizing that, you know what, general life, working 9 to 5, will provide something, but it's sometimes not enough. And you try to then look for other opportunities. But everyone grows to it. Some people grow very quickly and they realize at 17. Some people will realize at 30. In your opinion, so a person who is only starting his career or her career on the real estate investing, you're saying that multi-units is the way to go. If the person does not have a lot of money to invest, but really want to dip their toe into this water, what would be your suggestion? How do they start?
Well, first of all, everything starts with education. You know, most people don't know how to identify a deal. If I had the best deal in the world and I put it right in front of you, I said, here, Gleb, this is the best opportunity. You will hesitate. You will not be sure. You will ask other people because you yourself don't have the level of real estate education to be able to identify if that's a good deal or not. And so that's where everything starts. It starts with getting educated. You need to learn how to identify a deal. You need to learn how to analyze a deal. You need to learn how to negotiate a deal. You need to learn how to put a deal under contract. You need to know how to where to raise the capital. Once you learn, everything else falls into place, right? You start attracting the right people, the right circumstances, the right ideas to match the person that you're becoming, because you are becoming an investor. The most important thing about real estate, and you mentioned something earlier, is the lack of capital. Well, there's something that we call in the real estate business, is called intellectual currency, right? It's what you know. So if you spend time learning how to identify deals, learning how to put deals together, you increase your intellectual currency. And so the more intellectual currency you have, the less actual currency you'll need, right? Meaning you'll attract the right money because you have the right deal.
Got it. Oh, it's an interesting approach. I understand what you mean. So people will come to you with the money if you're expert. That's a good approach. I've seen that you have a lot of projects, and right now you have, as you say, hundreds of doors under investment, but you also look for that capital, and you always seek for private investors in addition to obviously investing from banks. And you also mentioned that you provide some kind of training to people. So if a person would be a bit shy to start on their own, do you provide that joint partnership, or like, do you let people invest small amounts in your properties and you manage them and those properties, but people will still kind of have chance to learn from you just looking at what you're doing real life?
Yeah. So the answer is yes to all of the above. Okay. I suggest if someone is interested in, like, if anything that I've said here today resonates with you in any way, the next step would be, hey, go check me out on YouTube, because on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe. I have thousands of videos, content that is free, right? And I'm always providing value as much as I can to people. If anything I say on my channel resonates with you, the next step would be, hey, contact me. And then let's have a conversation. Let's see where our paths align, and anything is possible. I've worked with people all across North America. I've helped a lot of people create wealth and create financial freedom for themselves. And so, like, I'm not a pushy guy, you know. It's very simple. If you feel that anything I say resonates with you, you just reach out.
Okay. Another question that I have, and probably it's on the minds of many people, again, mostly those people who really want to start investing, but there is always something that keeps them away. And one of the key things right now is the uncertainty in Canadian market with people saying banks will raise the interest rates and maybe there will be a decline in prices. What's your outlook on the next few years for Canadian market, and should it really stop people from starting their investment path?
I mean, real estate was too expensive when I started back in 2001. Real estate was too expensive back in 2005. Real estate was too expensive back in 2009. Real estate was too expensive back in 2015. Real estate was too expensive back in 2019. Real estate was too expensive back in 2020. Real estate was too expensive last year. Real estate is too expensive today. Like at the end of the day, it's true. We have markets, right? Things fluctuate with markets, and it's, you know, it's really your, you know, where you are in the market. And what we need to also realize, there's inflation happening as well. And real estate is the best place to hedge against real estate, against inflation. The only time people lose is when they have to sell the property. And so that goes back to the first comment that I made about education. If you learn, if you have the right education and you understand real estate fundamentals and you stick to the numbers, you will never have to sell. So you can have a dip in the market, but you're not selling. So it's really irrelevant. And if you stick to, in my opinion, multifamily, people will always have to pay the rent. People will always have to live somewhere. And so you just, I mean, if you're a buy and hold, investor, you shouldn't be worried about what happens to the market.
Right. Because you're basically reduce the risk by making sure that the income keeps flowing, so the cash flow is there. And if the market is booming and the prices are so good, you may always sell it and realize the capital gain. So it makes sense. And have you ever engaged in developing your own properties, or you were just buying the already built ones?
The majority of my deals have been buying older buildings. Most recently, in the past couple of years, I've started to buy newer buildings from builders, right? Newer apartment buildings. And then I really enjoyed that experience. And so now we're in the process of developing as well. So we're developing apartment buildings from scratch. So, you know, it was just a transition. I don't necessarily, you know, it's not like I'm advising people to start there, but it's a good place to be after so many years of dealing with older properties, where now we can buy into some or have some newer assets under management.
And your new developments, which provinces are you currently targeting?
Currently, it's Ontario, right? We have a new build. All the new product that we have is primarily in Ontario. But we are looking at some development opportunities, like, for example, in New Brunswick, maybe some things out west. Nothing has materialized yet, but for the most part, it's Ontario.
Okay, makes sense. And the last question before we finish our interview, do you have any learning courses outside of YouTube channels that people can officially attend and there is like training?
Yes. I do, but again, I don't like to force people to come. You never seen a Facebook ad with my name on it, right? You never. It's basically I built my entire business, my real estate, everything through attraction. I like to attract people, and if anything I say resonates with you, connect with me.
Makes sense. Okay, I will do that probably myself. Definitely. Very excited about your career in this, well, not career, but your real investing path, and curious to really learn more about your current projects and learn from you. So thank you very much for the interview.
Hey, this was fun.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right, my man. We'll see you later.
Yep.